Welcome to the Daily TV Mass, 40 Days of Lent Online Retreat, Day 3, The Passion of Jesus Christ according to the Gospel of John, Jesus before Pilate, with Cardinal Thomas Collins.
Then they took Jesus from Caiaphas to Pilate's headquarters. It was early in the morning. They themselves did not enter the headquarters so as to avoid ritual defilement and to be able to eat the Passover. So Pilate went out to them and said,
"What accusation do you bring against this man?"
They answered,
"If this man were not a criminal, we would not have handed him over to you."
Pilate said to them,
"Take him yourselves and judge him according to your law."
They replied,
"We are not permitted to put anyone to death."
This was to fulfill what Jesus had said when he indicated the kind of death he was to die. Then Pilate entered the headquarters again, summoned Jesus, and asked him,
"Are you the king of the Jews?"
Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?
I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?
My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here.
So you are a king.
You say that I'm a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice."
What is truth?
After he had said this, Pilate went out to the Jews again and told them,
I find no case against him. But you have a custom that I release someone for you at the Passover. Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?
They shouted in reply,
"Not this man, but Barabbas!"
Now Barabbas was a bandit. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged, and the soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they dressed him in a purple robe. They kept coming up to him and saying,
"Hail, King of the Jews!"
And they struck him on the face. Pilate went out again and said to them,
Look, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no case against him.
So Jesus came out, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. Pilate said to them,
Here is the man.
When the chief priests and the police saw him, they shouted,
"Crucify him! Crucify him!"
Pilate said to them,
Take him yourselves and crucify him. I find no case against him.
They answered him,
"We have a law, and according to that law he ought to die, because he has claimed to be the Son of God."
Now, when Pilate heard this, he was more afraid than ever. He entered his headquarters again and asked Jesus,
Where are you from?
but Jesus gave him no answer. Pilate therefore said to him,
Do you refuse to speak to me? Do you not know that I have power to release you and power to crucify you?
You would have no power over me unless it had been given you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin.
From then on, Pilate tried to release him, but the Jews cried out,
"If you release this man, you are no friend of the emperor. Everyone who claims to be a king sets himself against the emperor."
When Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus outside and sat on the judge's bench at a place called the Stone Pavement, or in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Now it was the day of preparation for the Passover, and it was about noon. Pilate said to the Jews,
Here is your king.
They cried out.
"Away with him! Away with him! Crucify him!"
Pilate asked them,
Shall I crucify your king?
The chief priests answered.
"We have no king but the emperor."
Then Pilate handed Jesus over to them to be crucified.
Pontius Pilate is the servant of Caesar and boasts that he has power over life and death. And so he does, in an earthly sense. But when this nervous imperial official encounters the serene majesty of the Lord of the universe, he does not know what to do. Back and forth he goes between Jesus inside the imperial headquarters and the crowd outside that is demanding crucifixion. Clearly, a fragment of conscience remains in Pilate, for he repeatedly tells the crowd that he considers Jesus to be innocent. In the end, however, that will not be enough. He knows the right thing to do, but he does not have the courage to do it. For he is afraid of the reaction of the crowd and afraid of a threat to his reputation with Caesar. A man with no inner principles, he was so different from a true leader like the great Bishop Clemens von Galen, who courageously confronted Hitler and whose motto was, "Neither by flattery nor by fear." But Pilate was afraid, for he had no guiding star, and is famous for asking, "What is truth?" That question remains vital for us who live under the dictatorship of relativism. Unlike Pilate, we need to care about the answer. Truth, objective truth, not my truth or your truth, but the truth that does not yield to our subjective desires. That is the truth that Pilate could not grasp, and that is what we need to seek. And we realize that ultimately Jesus, that prisoner standing before Pilate, is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the true King, though his kingdom is not of this passing world. As each year we encounter our crucified King on Good Friday, we reconsecrate our lives to his service.
Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they pierced him in the side?
Join us tomorrow for Day 4, the Passion of Jesus Christ according to the Gospel of John. Jesus dies on the cross with Cardinal Thomas Collins.